Welcome to Happy Cooking with Yvonne Douglas. I'm Doug, and today we're going to make some delicious steak pizzaiola, so stay tuned. Well, welcome back. So the ingredients you're going to need for this delicious dish is, number one, you're going to need some chuck tender steak, and this one I got at Target. And what you want to do is you want to pound the meat to where it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut off some of the fat and then pound it to where it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. So this is 6. So depending on how much or how many people you're cooking for, that determines how much you will make. But this is 6 and this is going to be for 2 people. Also, you're going to need for your sauce 5 Roma tomatoes. Try to make sure that they are plump and nice and plump. And so you're going to be cutting those up into, these slices. It really depends. Probably that's not even like 1/4 of an inch thick, something like that. You're also going to need 1 white onion that you're going to chop up really small. And you're going to need approximately close to a tablespoon of dried oregano. You need 1.5 cans of Hunt's tomato sauce. This is the 15-ounce can. So this is going to be 1 and then 1/2 of another one. All right. And of course, you're going to need some garlic, minced garlic, and parmesan reggiano cheese, very, very important, and extra virgin olive oil. And I believe that is it. So let's get cooking. Okay, so I'm making my penne pasta here. This is the one that's made with chickpeas. And it says that it should take about 8 to 10 minutes to cook. So it's already been 8 minutes, so I'm going to take it out and I'm going to drain it. One thing, if you're going to use that pasta, you're going to notice a lot of foam. Don't panic when you see that foam. That's just how it is. So just lower it a little bit and that foam will go down and you can skim some of that foam out. But this is almost done, so I'm going to drain my pasta and I'm going to start working on my sauce. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get a meat mallet, and you're going to use some handy wrap. And we're going to just lay this on top of the beef, the meat, and we want to pound it. You want to pound it to where it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And just make sure that most of the fat is cut off, and that you want your beef to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. And the way I'm going to season my meat is I'm going to just season it with some garlic powder and onion powder. I'm using front and back, or make sure you season it front and back, I should say. I'm also going to be using salt and pepper, of course, and some Italian seasoning that just comes in a little bottle like that. I definitely want to make sure it's has a lot of garlic powder on it. I'm going to be using a lot of garlic in this dish. So not only does it have the garlic powder, but we're going to be using some minced garlic too in the sauce. So what we're going to do is we're going to brown the meat first. And we're going to brown it probably around 3 to 4 minutes on each side and cook it up, and then we're going to transfer it to a plate. So let's get cooking. Okay, so welcome back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get extra virgin olive oil and make sure that the bottom of my pan is coated with the extra virgin olive oil. Okay, so now I want to brown my meat. So this is going to be on a high flame. All right, so I'm going to add my beef. I'm adding a little salt and pepper now. Okay, so I'm going to cook this for about 4 minutes on each side. Brown it at a high flame. You want to brown it on both sides, 3 to 4 minutes, both sides. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes for this one. I'm gonna flip it over. And you can see that the beef will curl up. So you wanna press that back down. It will go down after a while. This is on a very high flame. Add just a pinch of water. Okay, so these have been cooking for around 3 to 4 minutes on both sides. I'm just flipping it over now one more time. You want to make sure your meat is brown. And I'm going to take it out of the pan now. All right, so let me add a little bit more extra virgin olive oil to the pan. Get my wooden spoon. And then we're gonna add our onions. So I'm using almost 1 whole small onion, white onion, and I'm using 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Now you want to cook these onions for probably around 5 to 7 minutes until they get soft. And you're going to cook that, like I said, with the garlic, and we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to the onions. I want to make sure everything is very well seasoned. Okay, we're going to cook that up for about 5 to 7 minutes. So while the onions are cooking, you want to get your tomatoes and start slicing your tomatoes. And probably like 1/4 of an inch thick, something like that. And we're going to be using this for our sauce. We're going to cook our tomatoes for approximately 30 minutes. And we're going to make our sauce that goes with our steak for our steak pizzaiola. So nice, plump, fresh Roma tomatoes, yum. And we're gonna, of course, we're gonna season it with some Italian seasoning and oregano. All right, so I chopped these up. These look good. So let's check on those onions. Okay, so my onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes now. They smell really good with that garlic. And I'm just gonna cook that up for a couple more minutes and then we're going to deglaze it. Now, you don't have to do this part. I'm adding some white wine. I like to use a sweet wine for this. So if you have a sweet Riesling, something like that, you could even use a Pinot Grigio wine, that would even work. But I'm gonna use a nice sweet white wine and I'm going to deglaze it. And I'm just going to pour probably about 3/4 of a cup in there, and then I'm gonna cook it down to where maybe there's a couple of tablespoons left of that white wine, and then we're gonna add the tomatoes. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back, and I'm going to deglaze the pan. I'm adding 3/4 of a nice sweet white wine. And I'm just going to stir that in. I'm going to turn up the flame. You don't want it on a high flame, just like a medium to low flame is good. And we're just going to deglaze that pan Get all those drippings, and then the wine will cook down to, like I said, maybe a couple of tablespoons left. All right, so you want to do this for around 5 minutes or so. You can see that our wine here is simmering and it has cooked down, and that's what you want. And it looks pretty good. This is probably, I don't know, they cook down a lot though. So it probably has about 3 tablespoons in here of that wine mixed with the onions and the drippings. So I think that looks good. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower the flame now, and I'm going to add my tomatoes. So I'm adding all my tomatoes first. We will be using tomato sauce too, just to kind of help it along. But I want most of my sauce to come from these tomatoes. And of course the drippings. So this will cook down. It'll break apart, and that's what you want. I'm gonna season it, and then I'm going to cover it. And then probably about halfway through, I'm going to add the tomato sauce to it too. All right, so I'm gonna add my Italian seasoning. Just enough to cover the top. I'm adding some garlic powder, even that it has garlic in it. And I'm gonna add some salt and pepper. Because we add these tomatoes, just a little bit. Give it a nice little stir. And then, like I said, I'm gonna put the cover on. We're gonna cook this down, probably close to, the total time is 30 minutes, but about 15 minutes into it, I'm gonna add the sauce. Okay. Smells so good. And we're also gonna add a little bit of that parmesan or reggiano cheese too, my favorite cheese, I love it. All right, so let me cover this. We're gonna wait about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna add some tomato sauce to it, kind of to help it along. And then we're gonna cook it a total of 30 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes, and we can see that our tomatoes have cooked down. They broke apart. That's exactly what you want. And so we're giving it a nice stir. And now we're going to add the tomato sauce to it. This is just Hunt's tomato sauce. I'm using a full can and about a half. Mix that in there. We're gonna cook this for another 15 minutes. And the last couple of minutes, we're gonna add our cheese to it. Once again, since I added the Hunt's tomato sauce, I'm gonna add just a little bit more pepper, a little bit more salt. Give it a nice stir. I'm gonna lower the heat. The heat is already lowered, I should say. And I'm gonna put the cover back on and let that simmer for about 15 more minutes. The last couple of minutes, we're gonna add the Parmesan or Reggiano cheese to it. So it's been about 10 minutes or so. And what I want to do is I'm going to add, first I'm going to give it a little stir. And it looks really good, nice and thick sauce, awesome. And I'm going to add a little bit more Italian seasoning. Probably just a few shakes, just to coat the top a little bit. And then I'm adding that dry, this is, don't forget, this is about close to a tablespoon of dry oregano. So I'm adding that to that. sauce. I'm gonna give it a nice stir. It's gonna add those flavors and it's gonna be so good. I'm also going to add that Italian cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. And this is a half a cup of that cheese. So, you know, I'm trying to lose weight, so half a cup is better than a full cup. Anyway, I'm just gonna stir that into the sauce. I gotta have that flavor, gotta have that cheese. And we're just going to let that melt into the sauce. So yummy. And I'm gonna cover it back up, cook it for about 5 more minutes. Yum. It's been about 5 minutes, and what I wanna do now is I'm going to add the beef to the sauce and just continue letting that cook a little bit more, probably about 5-10 minutes, not even, just so we can warm up that beef. Make sure you don't splatter it on yourself. And and so we're gonna add that beef to the sauce here. And then of course we have our penne pasta. That is ready, but yum, that looks so good. I'm gonna cover it back up so it gets nice and warm. All right, now we're gonna have a great taste test, so stay tuned. Well, here it is, our delicious steak pizzaiola. I can't wait to taste it. It looks super yummy. Here we go. Yum. That's good. Great flavor. The sauce is fantastic. And you know those chickpea penne pasta is actually not bad. You know, of course, I can kind of tell there's no flour, but it tastes good. I'm trying to lose weight. That's just a little idea. And it's gonna help me out a little bit here and there, you know? All right, that's good. I hope you enjoyed Happy Cooking with Yvonne Douglas today. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe and like this video. Give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment below. I would love to hear your comments. All right, until next time, happy cooking, bye-bye.